Now, could this be a coincidence? Probably. Does Rusty Quill do coincidences in the series? Absolutely not. Everything has a reason. Hey my crossing critters, welcome to today's video. This is going to be something a bit different. So, like a lot of people who are in the Magnus Archives fandom, I have been listening almost religiously to the Magnus Protocol as it's been coming out every Thursday. And unlike most people, I have made a very complex spreadsheet about the DPHW numbers and other themes like corresponding fears and just overall stuff that makes my brain kind of go numb. And today we are going to be conspirizing on this piece of cardboard because I don't have a cork board. Yeah, so this will have to do. I got sticky notes. I don't have red string, so Jade, take that. I'm not that crazy yet.
Take a look at this! Jesus Christ, that right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail.
But I do have push pins, for some reason. I don't need those. Yeah, so we got our conspiracy board. And there's a lot of stuff I want to go over. But first, we're going to go over DPHWs. So, in general, for those who don't know, the DPHW is in the description of each Magnus Protocol video. It's a 4-digit number after category, or CAT, in the description, and it comes before the date of the statement versus the in-canon date that the recording happens. And DPHW stands for Nobody Knows. We still don't know yet. It's episode 38. God. I mean, to be fair, we didn't figure out about the fears until episode 100-something, or something around that milestone. Season 3. Yeah. Oh, also, spoiler warning. This is going to contain spoilers for all of the Magnus Protocol so far, which, of this moment, is up to episode 38 in Season 2. So, get ready for that. So the first one I want to go over is the first scene duplication of DPHW numbers. There's 3 sets so far, and the first one is with DPHW 4254. You guys can't really see this because handwriting's small, but trust me, it's there. I'll put a close-up of this board after the video, which there are 2 episodes that have the same DPHW of this number. Breaking Ground, which is episode 21, and Keyed In, which is episode 29. I haven't really figured, with any of these DPHWs, I don't know anything, just so you know. I haven't figured out what ties these together or what similarities these things have. I just like numbers sometimes. Not math numbers, just weird statistical numbers. Don't ask. Yeah. So there's that. There's also set 2, which is DPHW 3366, which is a double recursion, which I have talked about on my Tumblr, which I'll link in the description. I'll link that specific post in the description, actually. It also goes in depth about other stuff I'm going to be talking about. Colin, Freddy, stuff like that. But these 2 episodes were episode 8, Running on Empty, right here, and episode 30, Dead End Job. These both have 3366. Again, not quite sure of the relevance, but it's interesting, because depending on what the DPHW means, and if my certain theory on what the DPHW means, I'll get to that after. It's very interesting. The third one is the most recent, 2153, with episode 36, Outside the Box, which I have so much to say about this episode. Oh my god. So, yeah, we have Outside the Box, episode 36, and today's episode, because today is Thursday, is episode 38, Circling Back, which had the same number, 2153. So, we got those 3 groups so far, which tied to today's episode, Circling Back, is Heinrich Unheimlich, that German guy, or as I call him, Mr. Uncanny Creep. Mainly because, 1, that statement, his relation to Colin and Freddy, And the fact that his name, which I actually checked this with a friend, kind of translates to literally uncanny creep or stranger, stuff like that. Which the implications of that are kind of alarming. So, to branch off away slightly and go to episode 36, Outside the Box. Something that is very much been twisting my brain since that episode came out 2 weeks ago are dates, which, the statement date, if you guys hadn't checked, is this statement comes in August 4th, 2024, which, seems fine, that's fine, it's August, sure, except that the in-universe date is May 28th, 2024, which puts the statement taking place 3 months into the future. Now, could this be a coincidence? Probably. Does Rusty Quill do coincidences in the series? Absolutely not. Everything has a reason. And I decided to make it so this has to mean something. Which means Freddy can time travel, which, considering he's literally eaten a man, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Which actually brings us to our next point. So, we have Freddy, who ate Colin Becker in episode 31, Compartmentalization. And this episode has very special DPHW because it's the only one with all the same numbers. 5555. It is very interesting. I'm just gonna put that on top there. Yeah. And I also did some research into Alchemy because, as we know, Alchemy to this is very similar to horror authors with the Magnus archives, with how everyone's last names go with famous alchemists like Samama Khalid, Colin Becker, Celia Ripley, Alice Dyer. The only person that doesn't have this is Gwen because her last name relates to Elias Bouchard. So hers relates back to the archives and not protocol. But with number 5 specifically, this is usually in reference to the fifth element, aether, or quintessence, depending on which stuff you're reading. Which is a very important thing in alchemy because it's the theorized fifth element. But something that was very commonly, related to, or at least mistaken for aether or quintessence, is the element of fire, which relates to the desolation from the Magnus archives. There was actually a post on Colin's links to the desolation through in general theory that I saw on Tumblr, but I don't remember who made it or where it is. So whoever made that, kudos to you, because that was kind of mind-breaking. Because I feel like that honestly very much links Freddy as itself, because Freddy seems to be a very destructive entity to the desolation as well as the stranger, which further goes with my theory that Colin is pretty much full-on paralleling Sasha in this universe. Because if you look at it, let's see, Sasha, Colin, both die first, due to an artifact linked to the fears. And, usually something that they kind of afraid of, because, Colin ended up having his adverseness to technology near the end. And from listening to one of the early episodes of season 5 with the recordings from Tim and Sasha, she very much, didn't want to be forgotten and stuff, because, remember the I'm unforgettable thing. Well, she ended up getting forgotten and replaced, and nobody noticed. So, really being killed by their worst fears in season 1, yeah, that was very interesting. There's also, I also have another theory that Mr. Creepy German guy, Uncanny Creep, that guy, I'm not going to try pronouncing his name again so I don't butcher it, I'm pretty sure he is that one, German IT guy that came before the girl that was before Colin, that Gwen ended up asking Alice about at some point in season 1. German guy with tattoos. Because who better to go to about problems with Freddy, a German operating system, than one of your predecessors that was German? Makes perfect sense to me. I don't know about you, but I think that makes sense. Originally, I kind of thought it was Jerry because of the tattoos and my ongoing headcanon. I don't know if it's actually headcanon that he's German. I don't know if that was actually a headcanon or if that was ever confirmed. I don't know. It was a while ago. But yeah. Very interesting. Now finally, my theory about the DPHW. I don't know exactly what I think they stand for, because it can mean a lot of things. Could even just not be in English, considering Freddy is a German operating system. And what I think is that the numbers need to be perfectly balanced, like 5555 in episode 31, compartmentalization. And that's how it feeds Freddy. Because if there's a balance, then I guess it's like it fully evens out the scales or something. So 5 is the optimal number, considering the numbers all range between 1 and 9. There's been no zeros so far, according to my spreadsheet. And it was actually the one where Freddy got literally fed because he ate Colin. So maybe it's always like a rank of sustenance for the computer, and that's why he ate Colin, besides, being provoked. Because I'm pretty sure there's other things he could have done besides eating Colin to do that. So, what if he did that because he needed proper sustenance, and the cases being filed weren't giving that because they weren't balanced? Because there are very few, slightly balanced cases where there are repeating numbers, remember 3366, which is dead end job and running on empty. And then there was also 4488, which was a statement read out by Augustus, which he only has 4 statements. And it was the one about Jonah Magnus, I think. I could be wrong. That could have been one of the other ones. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember that one. Yeah, there's so much to keep track of. Oh my god. But, yeah, that kind of concludes my theories as for the Magnus Protocol so far. Isn't really, super conspiracy theory and, groundbreaking. I just really think that Colin has ties to Aether, might actually end up being the Alchemist, which is, the TMA version of the Archivist and End of the World Bringer, I guess. Also, of course, I have my whole post on how the OIR is pretty much the web version of the archives, which another Tumblr post I made, link in the description. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Have fun, and keep tuning in for the Magnus Protocol and my channel. Leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell just in case you want to see any more deranged rants about, this stuff. Because with the way the show is going so far, I doubt it'll be the last. Bye now. Oh, and for you guys who wanted to know, here is the board up close so you can read the stuff. DPHW is covering Colin's name. But yeah, here is the board, so you guys can have a good look at it. These are the alchemical symbols for Aether and Fire. This is Desolation. And Mr. Creepy Man. I did spell that correctly, by the way. I think. I'm 75% sure. Bye now.